If this episode makes you think, please let us know in the comments and support us by subscribing and leaving a review. Thank you. Today we are exploring a really ambitious initiative in Israel. As middle schoolers, they are set to begin learning English through artificial intelligence. This comes from an article titled "This is a Revolution" by Rosella Turcatin, published in the Times of Israel on June 21st, 2026. What really jumped out at me right at the top of this piece is the context. Israel is grappling with a massive teacher shortage, with some 40% of its 19,000 English teachers lacking formal training. Now imagine that for a moment. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Education Minister Yoav Kisch made this huge announcement back on June 11th during a visit to the Dekel Vilnai Middle School. This school was actually one of 28 that participated in a pilot program for an AI-powered system, what the Education Minister Yoav Kisch described as one of the most significant and ambitious revolutions ever carried out in the education system. Is designed to enable every student to learn according to their own capabilities, pace of progress, and personal needs. It's a grand vision, isn't it? He believes this move places Israel at the forefront of nations integrating AI in education Israel, representing a national leap forward. The initiative itself is called Project 720, and the name, according to the ministry, reflects its unique philosophy. 720 degrees, representing 360 degrees around the student and 360 degrees around the teaching staff. They're talking about a holistic view, enveloping both learner and educator. Simultaneously, a parallel program called English for Everyone is set to roll out AI English language learning across all middle schools. Meirav Zarviv, the Deputy Director General of the Innovation and Technology Administration, the ministry's branch responsible for the program, states that they're shifting from a one-size-fits-all teaching model to a reality where every student has the opportunity to learn in a way that suits them, while maintaining high academic standards. And importantly, she adds, they're providing teachers with advanced tools, data and support, allowing them to focus on personal mentorship and pedagogical leadership. This really makes you think about how AI personalized learning could address a critical need. But when you dig a little deeper, the story gets more complicated. The ministry described the pilot in those 28 schools as a success, but here's the kicker. They haven't released any data to back up those claims yet. The results are expected by the end of July. This reminds me of the first lesson in my 7 lessons for AI adoption framework, which is to audit. You really need to evaluate tools through hands-on pilots, not just marketing claims, and critically review the outcomes. A spokesperson mentioned that the pilot is being evaluated using pedagogical, emotional, and organizational indicators, including student motivation and independence, and teachers' ability to provide personalized support. These are all the right things to be measuring, of course, but the data is crucial. The budget for Project 720 and English for Everyone is substantial, around NIS 130 million, which is about $45 million US. Now that's a serious investment. You'd expect that kind of money to secure top-tier digital infrastructure and comprehensive teacher training right from the get-go, wouldn't you? Yet the ministry spokesperson said that for the moment the program will rely on the digital infrastructure schools currently have, and teacher training will only begin at the start of the school year and continue throughout the year. This is a bit of a red flag for me. In my framework for change leadership, I talk about the need to ein and activate. You customize for your institutional context, but you also need to empower teachers as change agents. If training is an afterthought, and they're expected to use existing infrastructure that might be patchy, it really puts the cart before the horse. The success of teaching English with AI hinges on teachers feeling confident and supported, not just handed a new tool. Remember that 720 degrees philosophy? Well, the 360 degrees around the teaching staff part needs to be genuinely reflected in comprehensive, proactive support, not just a promise. Now, what about the actual learning and the warnings from experts? This is where the narrative of revolution meets some serious pedagogical considerations. Prime Minister Netanyahu said, Israel is one of the first countries that is starting to implement AI for personalized learning for every single pupil. But the article highlights a growing number of experts and studies worldwide that are sounding notes of caution. A 2024 study by Columbia University researchers, published in the journal PLOS One, suggested that middle school students actually learn better when they read text from a physical book rather than from a screen. And a comprehensive report released by the Center for Universal Education at the US think tank Brookings earlier this year found that at this point, the risks of learning with AI can outweigh the potential advantages. They argue that these risks undermine children's foundational development, affecting cognitive, social, and emotional capacities. Dr. Yishay Moore, head of the Artificial Intelligence and Education program at Beit Berl College in Israel, puts it bluntly. Kids might prefer video, but they remember content much better from text. This speaks to a fundamental principle I often share. We must outsource the doing, not the thinking. If the AI is doing the heavy lifting of presenting content and students are passively consuming it on screens, are they really engaging in the productive struggle that leads to deep learning? Language acquisition in particular is inherently social and requires interaction, nuance, and human connection. One English teacher from northern Israel, interviewed by Haaretz, said, "The easiest thing is to throw the kids in front of screens. That's not how you learn a language. There is no substitute for learning in front of a teacher, especially at this age." They called it just another band-aid for the real problem, the teacher shortage. And this is a really important point when we think about the pillar of routine. Enhancement, not replacement. If the primary driver for AI adoption is to fill a deficit, are we genuinely enhancing human capability? Or are we just creating a crutch that might mask deeper issues and potentially degrade the quality of human interaction crucial for something like learning a language? We have to be careful that AI isn't simply replacing human interaction rather than augmenting it, because machines can compute, they cannot wonder, they cannot care. They can't provide the empathetic ear that a student needs when they're struggling to articulate a new idea in a new language. If you're finding this episode thought-provoking and want to explore more about how AI can genuinely transform education without losing sight of what makes us human, then please follow and subscribe to the podcast for more insights. So, what does this mean for us as educators thinking about AI? The Israeli Education Ministry's spokesperson did say something I found encouraging. Technology should serve pedagogy, not the other way around. They aim for a balanced approach, distinguishing between guided, supervised educational use and private, potentially distracting use, and even leading a policy to reduce mobile phone use in schools. This aligns perfectly with my purpose over technology. Pillar. Start with the educational purpose, not just what the technology can do. The idea of AI personalized learning is powerful, especially for serving the middle 80%. Those students who often don't get the specialized attention given to high flyers or those needing intervention. AI can be a powerful tool for differentiation and tailored practice, but the key is in the design and implementation. The involvement of tech giants like Google and Microsoft, while perhaps bringing expertise, also highlights the commercial interests at play. We must ensure that educational outcomes, student well-being, and teacher empowerment remain the core focus, not just tool adoption rates. We have to teach students not to outsmart machines, but to outthink them. And that demands careful human-led design for how AI is integrated into the learning process. The real value is not in what the machine produces, but in how the student responds, how they engage with it, and how the teacher guides that engagement. That's all for today. Thanks for listening.